Saturday evening, as I was preparing dinner, my phone buzzed with the sound of a new message. I wiped my hands on a towel and picked it up, expecting a message from a friend or a work update. But what I saw was something entirely different. The message was from an unknown number, and it contained a video file. Curiosity got the better of me. I tapped on the video and watched as the screen lit up. My heart pounded as I realized what I was seeing. There on the screen was my wife, Megan, in the arms of another man. They were in what looked like a hotel room, their bodies close, their faces too familiar. I couldn't believe it. My mind raced with disbelief and shock. This couldn't be real. My Megan, the woman I had vowed to spend the rest of my life with, was in the arms of someone else. The video continued to play, showing moments of intimacy that were never meant for my eyes. I felt a cold sweat break out across my forehead. My hands trembled as I replayed the video, hoping I had somehow misunderstood. But the truth was undeniable. Megan was cheating on me. The room seemed to spin around me as I tried to make sense of what I had just witnessed. How long had this been going on? Who was the man in the video? And why had someone sent this to me? I sat down heavily, my mind awash with confusion and hurt. The dinner I had been preparing was forgotten, replaced by a gnawing pain in my chest. Everything I thought I knew about my life, about my marriage, was now in question. My heart froze. I couldn't believe my eyes. The video played on a loop in my mind, each frame searing itself into my memory. Megan, my Megan, was in the arms of another man. It felt like a nightmare, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't wake up. I replayed the video several times, hoping against hope that I had somehow misunderstood. Maybe it was a cruel joke or a terrible mistake, but every time the scene was the same. Megan's face was unmistakable, her smile so familiar, but twisted in a way I'd never seen before. The intimacy between them was undeniable. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. How could this be real? Megan and I had built a life together, shared dreams, and faced challenges side by side. We had promised each other forever. Yet here was irrefutable evidence that everything I believed in was a lie. I stumbled to the living room, needing to sit down. The walls seemed to close in on me, the air thick with betrayal. My thoughts raced, each one more painful than the last. How long had this been going on? Who was he? What had I done to deserve this? I tried to think back, searching for any signs I might have missed. Were there moments when she had been distant, times when she had unexplained absences? But nothing stood out. Our life together had seemed so normal, so solid. Now, it felt like a house of cards collapsing in slow motion. I buried my face in my hands, feeling the hot sting of tears. The shock was paralyzing, but beneath it was a growing anger. How could Megan do this to us? To me? My chest ached with a pain I had never known, a deep, wrenching hurt that left me gasping for breath. As I sat there, reeling from the impact of what I had seen, I knew that nothing would ever be the same. My heart was in free fall, and I had no idea where or how it would land. Maybe it was a mistake. My mind grasped at straws, trying to find any plausible explanation that could make sense of the gut-wrenching video I had just seen. Perhaps it was a cruel prank, a case of mistaken identity, or some sort of twisted revenge plot. Anything but the truth that was staring me in the face. Desperation fueled me as I reached for my phone. I needed to hear Megan's voice, to have her tell me that it was all a terrible misunderstanding. My fingers trembled as I dialed her number, each ring echoing in the silence of the room. The call went to voicemail. I tried again and again, but there was no answer. Panic began to creep in, mixing with the disbelief and confusion already swirling inside me. Where could she be? Why wasn't she picking up? I glanced at the clock. It was late, but not so late that she would be unreachable. I tried to rationalize, telling myself she was probably just busy or had her phone on silent. Maybe she was out with friends or caught up in some errand. Anything but the possibility that she was with him. I forced myself to wait, each passing minute feeling like an eternity. My mind raced with scenarios, each one more painful than the last. I couldn't shake the image of the video from my mind, but I clung to the hope that Megan would call back and explain everything. I paced the living room, glancing at my phone every few seconds, willing it to ring. The silence was deafening, amplifying my fears and doubts. I felt like I was teetering on the edge of an abyss, desperately trying to hold on to the last shreds of normalcy. Eventually, exhaustion began to set in. I sank onto the couch, my phone still clutched in my hand. The hope that had kept me going started to wane, replaced by a sinking feeling of dread. What if she never called back? What if this was the end? As the hours dragged on, I realized that the answers I sought wouldn't come easily. I would have to confront Megan directly and face the truth no matter how painful it might be. But for now, all I could do was wait and hope that everything I believed about our life together wasn't just an illusion. I couldn't just sit there, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. I needed answers. I needed to know if what I had seen was real or some horrific mistake. My heart ached with every beat, but I forced myself to move, to take action. Grabbing Megan's phone, I hesitated for a moment. Invading her privacy felt wrong, but the stakes were too high. I needed to find something, anything that could explain the video. With a deep breath, I unlocked her phone and began to search. I started with her messages, scrolling through conversations with friends and family. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, just the usual chatter about work plans for the weekend and updates on life. But I kept digging, determined to uncover the truth. As I delved deeper, I found myself examining every detail with a scrutinizing eye. Were there any messages that seemed suspiciously vague? Any names I didn't recognize? I searched for patterns, for hidden meanings in the seemingly mundane exchanges. Next, I moved on to her photos. Thousands of images filled the gallery, happy memories of vacations, dinners with friends, and moments from our life together. My heart twisted as I looked at pictures of us smiling, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Then I found a folder I hadn't noticed before. It was tucked away, almost hidden among the other albums. My hands shook as I opened it, bracing myself for what I might find. The photos were innocuous at first, landscapes, selfies, random snapshots. But as I kept scrolling, my blood ran cold. There he was, the man from the video. In some photos, they were just standing next to each other, but in others, the intimacy was undeniable. The way they looked at each other, the way they touched, there was no mistaking it. Each image was a dagger to my heart, confirming my worst fears. This wasn't a mistake. It was real. Megan had been unfaithful. I felt a wave of nausea, a sickening mixture of betrayal and heartbreak. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, had been living a double life. And now, I was left to pick up the pieces. I put down her phone, the weight of my discovery pressing down on me. The evidence was overwhelming, and there was no escaping the truth. My marriage, my life, everything I believed in was falling apart. As I sat there staring at the damning images, I knew there was no going back. The search for answers had given me what I sought, but it had also shattered my world. I couldn't bear the weight of this alone any longer. I needed someone to talk to, someone who could help me make sense of the chaos swirling in my mind. My thoughts immediately turned to Michael, my best friend since college. If anyone could offer me clarity and support, it was him. With trembling hands, I dialed his number. It rang a few times before he picked up, his familiar voice a lifeline in the storm. "Hey, man. What's up?" he said, his tone cheerful and unsuspecting. "Michael, I need to talk to you," I managed to say, my voice cracking under the strain. Instantly, his tone shifted to concern. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I took a deep breath and began to tell him everything. The video, the images, the overwhelming sense of betrayal. The words poured out of me in a torrent, each one bringing fresh pain. Michael listened quietly, not interrupting, just letting me get it all out. When I finally finished, there was a heavy silence. Then he spoke, his voice calm and steady. "I'm so sorry, man. I can't imagine what you're going through right now. But listen, you need to stay calm. I know it's hard, but you need to talk to Megan. You need to hear her side of the story." "I don't know if I can," I admitted. The thought of facing Megan, of confronting her with the evidence of her betrayal, felt like an insurmountable task. "You can," Michael insisted. "You have to. You deserve answers, and the only way you'll get them is by talking to her. But you have to stay calm. Losing your temper won't help anything." His words made sense, but they didn't make the prospect any less daunting. What if she lies? What if she tries to deny everything? "Then you'll know," he said simply, "but you need to give her the chance to explain. Maybe there's more to this than you know. Maybe..." Just maybe there's some kind of explanation. I wanted to believe him, but the images in the video were burned into my mind. Still, I knew he was right. I couldn't avoid this confrontation forever. If there was any hope of understanding what had happened, I needed to talk to Megan. "Thank you, Michael," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "Anytime, man. You know I'm here for you," he replied. "Call me if you need anything, okay? And remember, stay calm. You've got this." We hung up, and I felt a small measure of relief. Michael's support had given me the strength I needed to take the next step. I would talk to Megan, face the truth head-on, and somehow I would find a way to move forward. Megan returned home late that night, her arrival marked by the soft click of the front door. I sat on the living room couch, my mind a whirlwind of emotions, but I couldn't bring myself to confront her immediately. Instead, I watched her silently, hoping to find some sign, some clue in her demeanor that would make sense of everything. She looked tired, her steps slow and deliberate as she placed her bag on the kitchen counter. "Hey," she said, her voice soft and seemingly normal. "Sorry I'm late. Work ran longer than expected." I forced a smile, trying to hide the turmoil inside me. "It's okay," I replied, my voice betraying none of the chaos I felt. I watched her move around the kitchen, her actions so familiar, and yet now tinged with an unbearable strangeness. Megan poured herself a glass of water and leaned against the counter, sipping slowly. Her eyes were tired, but her expression had no guilt or unease. How could she act so normal, so at ease, when my world was falling apart? I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to show her the evidence of her betrayal, but I couldn't. Not yet. Michael's words echoed in my mind. "Stay calm. Talk to her." I needed to find the right moment, the right words. "Are you okay?" she asked, her brow furrowing slightly as she looked at me. "You seem off." "I'm fine," I lied, forcing another smile. "Just a long day." She nodded, accepting my answer without suspicion. "I know the feeling," she said, her voice weary. "I'm going to take a shower and head to bed. You should get some rest too." I watched her leave the room. Every step she took felt like a knife twisting in my heart. She disappeared down the hallway, the sound of the shower starting a few moments later. I sat there, staring at the space she had just occupied, my mind racing with questions and doubts. How long had this been going on? Who was the man in the video? And how could she come home and act like everything was normal? The minutes dragged by, each one filled with a mounting sense of dread. I knew I couldn't put off the confrontation forever. Sooner or later, I would have to face the truth and demand answers. But for now, I remained a silent watcher, trapped between the need for understanding and the fear of what that understanding would bring. Megan finished her shower and came back into the living room, her hair damp and her eyes heavy with exhaustion. "Good night," she said, giving me a tired smile. "Good night," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. As she disappeared into the bedroom, I was left alone with my thoughts and the heavy burden of the truth I had yet to confront. The night stretched on, long and sleepless, as I prepared myself for the inevitable conversation that would shatter our lives. I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying the video, the images looping over and over until they were seared into my consciousness. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw Megan in the arms of another man, their faces too close, their actions too intimate. It was a nightmare I couldn't escape, no matter how hard I tried. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the darkness of the room doing nothing to quiet the turmoil inside me. Every creak of the house, every shift of the sheets, seemed amplified in the silence. Megan slept peacefully beside me, unaware of the storm raging just inches away. Her breathing was steady, her face serene, as if she had no cares in the world. I envied her ability to sleep, to find peace in the middle of this chaos. My thoughts were a tangled mess of anger, hurt, and confusion. How long had this been going on? How could she lie beside me night after night while hiding such a betrayal? I turned onto my side, watching her sleep. Part of me wanted to wake her, to demand answers right then and there. But another part of me knew that I needed to wait, to find the right moment to confront her. I needed to be calm and composed, to have the upper hand in this conversation. But the waiting was torture. Every minute felt like an eternity. My mind kept circling back to the same questions and the same doubts. Was there something I had missed? Signs that I had ignored? I racked my brain, trying to piece together moments that now seemed suspicious in hindsight. Sleep was impossible. I got out of bed, careful not to wake Megan, and wandered into the living room. The house was eerily quiet, the shadows long and dark. I sat on the couch, my thoughts still racing. I needed a distraction, something to take my mind off the relentless replay of the video. I turned on the TV, hoping for some mindless show to dull the edge of my thoughts. But nothing could hold my attention. Every scene, every character seemed trivial compared to the reality of my situation. I turned it off in frustration, the silence rushing back to fill the void. The hours dragged on, each one heavier than the last. I felt trapped in a cycle of pain and uncertainty, unable to find a way out. The night seemed endless, each tick of the clock a reminder of the conversation that awaited me. As the first light of dawn began to creep through the windows, I knew I couldn't avoid it any longer. I had to confront Megan, to face the truth no matter how painful it might be. But for now, all I could do was wait, trapped in the restless night with my thoughts and fears. Morning arrived with a heaviness I couldn't shake off. The weight of what I had discovered hung over me like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over everything. Megan stirred beside me, her peaceful sleep a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. With trembling hands, I finally mustered the courage to confront her. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, my fingers fumbling as I unlocked it. The video stared back at me, a cruel reminder of the truth I couldn't ignore any longer. Taking a deep breath, I turned to Megan, who was still half asleep. "Megan," I whispered, my voice hoarse with emotion. "Wake up. I need to show you something." Her eyes fluttered open, confusion clouding her expression. "What is it?" she asked, her voice laced with sleep. I hesitated for a moment, the words catching in my throat. I received this last night," I managed to say, showing her the video on my phone. Megan's eyes widened as she watched, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. The color drained from her face, and I could see the fear and confusion in her eyes. "No!" she gasped, her voice barely a whisper. "No, this can't be real!" "It looks real to me," I said, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. "Megan, who is he? What is this?" She shook her head frantically, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't know," she cried. "I swear to you, I don't know who he is. This must be some kind of mistake." "How can it be a mistake?" I demanded, my frustration boiling over. "Megan, I saw you with him. How can you deny it?" "I'm not denying anything," she insisted, her voice desperate. "But this video, it's not what it seems. Someone is trying to set us up." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Could it be true? Could someone have fabricated this video to tear us apart? The doubt gnawed at me, but the evidence seemed damning. "We need to figure this out," I said, trying to steady my voice. "We need to go through everything, find out where and when this was filmed." Megan nodded, her hands shaking as much as mine. We sat down at the kitchen table, our laptops open in front of us. Together, we meticulously combed through every detail of the video. We analyzed the background, the lighting, the voices in the background, anything that could give us a clue. Hours passed in tense silence as we searched for answers. Megan's distress was palpable, her insistence that this was a setup growing stronger with each passing minute. Yet deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. The image of her with another man haunted me, threatening to unravel everything we had built together. "We have to consider everything," Megan said, her voice trembling. "Could someone have access to our lives? Could they have staged this somehow?" I nodded slowly, the weight of her words sinking in. "Maybe," I admitted reluctantly. "But it still doesn't explain—" "I know," she interrupted, tears welling up in her eyes again. "I know it looks bad, but you have to believe me. I would never do this to you." Her plea was heartfelt, her anguish evident. I wanted to believe her, to trust that this was all a terrible mistake. But the evidence was compelling, and doubts continued to plague my mind. "We'll figure this out," Megan said, reaching across the table to take my hand. "Together, we'll find the truth." I nodded silently, unsure of what the truth would bring. As we continued our search, I couldn't help but wonder if our relationship could survive this storm. The morning stretched into the afternoon, and still, the video remained a haunting mystery, a rift between us that threatened to tear us apart. The days following the discovery of the video were filled with a relentless cycle of doubt and confusion. Megan's vehement denial and my wavering trust left me grappling with questions that seemed to have no clear answers. It was in this fog of uncertainty that I decided to seek legal counsel. Arranging a consultation with a recommended attorney felt like a necessary step, a lifeline in a stormy sea of emotions. Sitting in their office, I recounted the events leading up to the video, the shock of discovery, and Megan's adamant insistence that the footage was fabricated. The attorney listened attentively, their expression neutral yet attentive. "Let's start from the beginning," they said, their voice calm and measured. "Tell me everything you know, and we'll assess the legal implications." I began with the evening I received the video, how it had shattered my perception of our marriage, and the subsequent attempts Megan and I made to verify its authenticity. The attorney scribbled notes as I spoke, occasionally asking probing questions to clarify details. "It's crucial to establish the facts," they remarked after I finished recounting the sequence of events. "We'll need to determine if the video was illegally obtained or if there are grounds for defamation. Additionally, we should consider your rights in terms of privacy and how best to protect them moving forward." Their words offered a semblance of structure amidst the chaos of my thoughts. I had been drowning in a sea of uncertainty, unsure of how to navigate the legal complexities entangled with deeply personal matters. "What are my options?" I asked, my voice betraying a hint of desperation. The attorney leaned back in their chair, considering their response carefully. "First, we'll need to investigate the origins of the video," they began. "This involves identifying the sender if possible and understanding their motives. Depending on our findings, we may pursue legal action for defamation or invasion of privacy." They went on to outline potential strategies, emphasizing the importance of gathering evidence meticulously and proceeding with caution. Their expertise provided a glimmer of hope that I could regain some semblance of control over a situation that had spiraled beyond my comprehension. As the consultation drew to a close, the attorney assured me they would handle my case with utmost confidentiality and professionalism. "I understand this is a difficult time for you," they said, their tone reassuring. "But you've taken the right step in seeking legal advice. We'll work together to find a resolution." Leaving the office, I felt a mix of relief and trepidation. The legal counsel offered a way forward to address the turmoil threatening to unravel my life. Yet the deeper emotional wounds inflicted by the video remained raw and unhealed. As I drove home, I wrestled with the uncertain future of my marriage and the daunting prospect of navigating legal complexities that seemed to mirror the complexities of my heart. The days blurred together in a haze of disbelief and turmoil. Despite Megan's protests and our shared attempts to debunk the video's authenticity, the shadow it cast over our lives refused to dissipate. I knew I couldn't rest until I uncovered the truth behind its origins. Armed with determination, I embarked on a quest to trace the video's source. The first step, utilizing reverse phone number lookup tools. I entered the unknown number from which the video had been sent, hoping for a breakthrough. The search results yielded sparse information: a prepaid cell service, no registered name or location. Frustration mounted with each dead end. But I persisted, exploring alternate avenues, online forums, social media sleuthing, anything that might unearth a clue. Hours turned into days as I delved deeper into the digital labyrinth. False leads and dead links tested my resolve, but I refused to relent. Megan, too, joined in the search, her determination matched only by mine. Together, we scoured every traceable thread, dissecting every digital breadcrumb in pursuit of the elusive sender. Finally, a breakthrough. A digital footprint linked to the phone number surfaced in an obscure online group. It led to a username, a vague alias, but a starting point nonetheless. With newfound hope, I dug deeper, piecing together fragments of information and triangulating data points to pinpoint a potential suspect. The trail grew warmer as I cross-referenced findings with the attorney's counsel. Legal avenues began to materialize, subpoenas for digital records, and potential avenues of litigation. Yet, amidst the progress, doubts lingered. What if we were chasing shadows? What if the video's creator remained forever beyond our reach? But I couldn't afford to dwell on uncertainties. Time was of the essence, and every lead, no matter how faint, held the potential to unravel the mystery and restore some semblance of normalcy to our fractured lives. As I clicked through another set of search results, a name materialized. A digital footprint linked to the phone number in a discussion group. The days stretched into weeks as I relentlessly pursued leads, desperate to uncover the truth behind the damning video that had shattered our lives. Each dead end deepened the sense of betrayal and uncertainty that gnawed at my soul. But just as hope began to wane, a pivotal moment shattered the fragile calm we had tried to maintain. It was a quiet evening, the tension between Megan and me palpable. The weight of unspoken truths hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over our every interaction. Megan had been withdrawn, her attempts at reassurance falling flat against the backdrop of my relentless pursuit for answers. Then, one night, as we sat in the dimly lit living room, Megan broke the silence. Her voice trembled with emotion, betraying the facade of strength she had worn for so long. I have to tell you something, she began, her eyes brimming with tears. It's true. The video, it's real. Her confession hit me like a thunderclap. For weeks, she had adamantly denied any wrongdoing, clinging to the hope that the video was a fabrication. Now faced with the undeniable truth, she could no longer hide behind lies. I'm so sorry, she continued, her words choked with guilt. I never meant to hurt you. I never thought you would find out. The room spun around me as her words sank in. The betrayal I had feared, the betrayal I had fought so hard to disprove, was now laid bare before me. Anger hurt, and devastation warred within me, threatening to consume everything I held dear. Why? I managed to ask, my voice barely a whisper. Megan shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I don't know, she admitted, her voice broken. I was weak. I made a mistake. But I love you. Please believe me. Her plea echoed in the silence that followed, mingling with the shattered remnants of trust and love. I wanted to believe her, to find solace in her words, but the wound ran deep, deeper than I could have ever imagined. As we sat in the stillness of that moment, the truth hung between us like a specter. Our lives had been upended, our future uncertain, and amidst the wreckage of broken promises and shattered dreams, I knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again. As the chaos of the present threatened to engulf me, I found myself retreating into memories of our beginning, the time when Megan and I first met, when everything seemed simpler and our love was untainted by doubt. It was a warm summer evening when our paths first crossed at a mutual friend's barbecue. Megan's laughter had drawn me in like a magnet, her smile lighting up the gathering with its infectious warmth. I remembered how effortlessly we had fallen into conversation, as if we had known each other for years instead of mere minutes. She had been studying art history at the university, her passion for the subject evident in every animated gesture and thoughtful insight. I had been drawn to her intellect, her curiosity about the world around her, and the way she could make even the mundane seem extraordinary. Our friendship had blossomed into something deeper over time. I recalled our first date, a nervous, exhilarating evening spent at a cozy Italian restaurant, where the clink of wine glasses and the sparkle in her eyes had hinted at the promise of something beautiful. As our relationship deepened, so did our shared dreams and aspirations. We had talked about traveling the world together, exploring distant lands, and immersing ourselves in different cultures. Megan's dreams of becoming a curator at a renowned museum had fueled my ambitions, pushing me to strive for more in my career. But amidst the memories of laughter and shared dreams, there now lay a shadow, a stark reminder of how fragile happiness could be. The discovery of the video had shattered the idyllic picture we had painted together, leaving behind a trail of broken trust and unanswered questions. As I reminisced about our journey together, I couldn't help but wonder where it had all gone wrong. Had I missed the signs, ignored the doubts that had nagged at the corners of my mind? Or had fate dealt us a cruel hand, testing the strength of our love in ways I had never imagined? One thing remained clear, amidst the haze of uncertainty. Despite the heartache and turmoil, the memories of our beginning still held a flicker of hope. They reminded me of the love we had once shared, the laughter that had echoed through the halls of our shared home, and the dreams that had bound us together. As I closed my eyes and allowed the warmth of those memories to wash over me, I knew that no matter what the future held, the beginning would always be a cherished chapter in the story of Megan and me, a testament to a love that had once been pure and true. The decision weighed heavily on both of us, a culmination of weeks spent navigating treacherous emotional waters. Megan and I had wrestled with the aftermath of the video, grappling with truths uncovered and trust shattered. In the quiet of our home, Amid the remnants of shattered dreams and unspoken apologies, we arrived at a crossroads that neither of us had ever envisioned. The evening was cool, the soft glow of dusk filtering through the curtains as we sat across from each other, words hanging heavy in the air. The silence between us spoke volumes, each heartbeat echoing the pain and uncertainty that had marked our recent days. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," Megan finally whispered, her voice barely audible above the sound of my heartbeat. Her eyes, once filled with love and laughter, now reflected a weariness that mirrored my own. I nodded slowly, the weight of her words settling over me like a heavy blanket. "I don't either," I admitted, my voice thick with emotion. "I never thought we'd be here." The truth hung between us, stark and undeniable. The love that had once bound us together now felt fragile, fractured by the secrets we had unearthed and the trust we had lost along the way. "We can't keep pretending," Megan said softly, her gaze steady despite the tears that threatened to spill over. It's too much." I closed my eyes, fighting back a wave of grief that threatened to overwhelm me. "I know," I whispered, my voice cracking. "But what do we do now?" Megan reached across the table, her hand finding mine in the darkness. "I think," she began, her voice wavering, "I think we need to consider—" Her words hung in the air, unspoken yet understood. Divorce, an end to the life we had built together, the dreams we had shared, and the love that had once bound us in its embrace. It was a painful acknowledgement, a final surrender to the reality that our paths had diverged irreparably. And yet, amidst the sorrow and heartache, there was a glimmer of relief. The decision, painful though it was, offered a chance for healing, for both Megan and me to find our paths forward, untethered from the wreckage of our shared past. "We'll get through this," Megan murmured, her voice a fragile promise. "Together, even if it means apart." I nodded, my throat tight with unshed tears. "Together," I echoed, knowing that while our journey as partners had come to an end, our journey as individuals was just beginning. In the days that followed, we navigated the legal complexities with a quiet determination, seeking closure amidst the chaos. Divorce papers were signed, belongings divided, and our shared home became a silent witness to the end of an era. As we stood on the threshold of our new lives, I couldn't help but reflect on the bittersweet irony of it all. The love that had once defined us now served as a painful reminder of what could have been. And yet, amidst the wreckage of shattered dreams, there remained a flicker of hope, a belief that from the ashes of our past, new beginnings could emerge. And so, with heavy hearts and tentative steps, Megan and I parted ways, forever changed by the tumultuous journey that had led us here. As I watched her drive away, I knew that while our love story had reached its conclusion, the lessons learned and the memories shared would forever shape the tapestry of my life. Leaving our once shared home behind marked the beginning of a profound journey of rediscovery and renewal in the wake of heartache and shattered dreams. As I closed the door behind me for the last time, the weight of memories lingered, mingling with a sense of liberation that I had not anticipated. The decision to start afresh had been both agonizing and inevitable. The echoes of our laughter, the warmth of shared moments, these were now relegated to the recesses of memory, overshadowed by the pain of betrayal and the crumbling of a once promising future. Driving away from the familiar streets that had once felt like home, I felt a strange mix of emotions: grief for what was lost, relief for the clarity gained, and a flicker of hope for what lay ahead. The road stretched out before me, a blank canvas upon which I could paint a new beginning. Settling into my new apartment, devoid of the traces of our life together, I breathed a sigh of tentative freedom. The space was mine alone, a sanctuary where I could rebuild, heal, and rediscover myself outside the confines of a fractured relationship. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the wounds began to heal. I immersed myself in work, throwing myself into projects that demanded my focus and creativity. The distraction was a welcome respite, providing a sense of purpose amidst the emotional turmoil. Yet, amid the busyness of rebuilding my life, there were moments of quiet reflection, times when memories of Megan would surface unexpectedly. I would find myself tracing the contours of her smile in my mind, replaying conversations and shared experiences with a bittersweet ache. In those moments, I allowed myself to feel, to mourn not just the loss of a partner, but the loss of a vision for the future that had once felt so certain. It was a process of letting go, of releasing expectations, and embracing the uncertainty of what lay ahead. I sought solace in solitude and the company of friends who had stood steadfastly by my side during the darkest days. Their unwavering support became a lifeline, anchoring me in moments of doubt and uncertainty. As I navigated the uncharted waters of singlehood, I discovered the freedom to define my path, to pursue passions long neglected, to forge new connections, and to cultivate a sense of self-worth independent of past heartbreaks. The pain of separation remained, an indelible mark on the tapestry of my life. Yet, with each sunrise that greeted me in my new home, I found renewed strength and gratitude for the opportunity to rebuild, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the promise of new beginnings. The journey was not without its challenges. There were days when loneliness crept in, when the quiet of my apartment echoed with the absence of shared laughter and whispered confidences. But with time, even these moments became opportunities for growth, for introspection and self-discovery that transcended the boundaries of past hurts. Through it all, I learned to cherish the fleeting moments of joy and the quiet victories that marked my progress. Whether it was mastering a new hobby, reconnecting with old friends, or simply finding peace in solitude, each step forward reaffirmed my resilience and capacity for growth. And as I looked back on the path I had traveled, the winding road of heartache and healing, I realized that I had emerged not just intact, but stronger and more resilient than before. The scars of the past remained, but they were no longer a source of pain. They were a testament to the courage it took to embrace change and forge a new beginning. In the quiet moments before sleep, I would sometimes find myself wondering about Megan, where she was, and how she was coping with our shared past. It was a thread of curiosity tinged with a sense of closure, knowing that our paths had diverged irreversibly. Yet, amidst the solitude, there were also moments of profound gratitude for the lessons learned, the friendships strengthened, and the newfound sense of self that had emerged from the ashes of our relationship. I had found solace in the rhythms of daily life, in the simple pleasures that had once been overshadowed by turmoil. As the seasons turned and time marched forward, I embraced the uncertainty of what lay ahead with a newfound sense of optimism. Each day was a gift, an opportunity to write a new chapter in the story of my life, guided by the resilience that had carried me through the darkest of days.